All right, all right, all right. It's Russ from Rusty Tracks Railroad. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully everyone's well. Yeah, we just got a couple of CN and a British Columbia Rail heading out to the West End. Get them off the tracks here. And we'll begin our switching session. We've got a few cars to move around today. Spent a little bit of time yesterday prepping, getting the cars in place. Thus, that those that saw it, that little switching session that I had just to move stuff around. But anyways, yeah, we got a bit of a mild day here in southern Ontario. Had a bit of snow last night. But it's all good right now. So just wait for this guy to get out of the way. And we'll get things rolling here. Hello, Gwen Potter. And here we go. All right. Whoa. All right. We get our switcher started up here. And he's hiding today. Well, not really hiding, but he's sitting in the central maintenance facility, which is right over here. Gwen told me to use the stick of God last week to point stuff out. So we'll see how things go. Anyway, first things we're going to do today, we're going to be bringing a couple of cars from the inbound track up to this end of the layout where I am, which is the eastbound, or east end. And then we've got a couple of cars sitting in the east engine house, or engine facility over here. And we got to move them to, where do we have to move them? One's got to go to the welding shop. And the other one's got to go to, oops, that's wrong. So we got to move them from, one's got to go to the outbound tracks. So we got to do a swap around over there. And the other one's going to the outbound track as well by the looks of it. And so that'll be easy peasy. But in the meantime, we'll go grab a couple of cars from, 3 cars actually, from the inbound track on the west side. And we'll get things started here. Hey, Kevin, how are you, buddy? Sure, you know what, Kev? You go through this as well as I do. I just ran everything this morning and everything was absolutely perfect running-wise. And what happens when I go live? The gremlins come out. You know it very well as I do. Have you got much snow out the East Coast there, Kevin? Camera shy, or they just like to mess with the track a bit. But we'll see how it goes. As I was checking camera positions this morning. I took this little switcher and I ran them all over just to make sure all the cameras were set in the right orientation and I had decent coverage. And what happens now when I first start up? It stalls. Oh well. So what we're going to do, we're going to head to the west end and to the extension yard. We'll pick up 3 cars over there. We're going to pick up a covered hopper, a tank car, and a box car. And we're going to bring them down to this end of the layout, the switching layout. And Kevin, this is, I mean, I know, Kevin, you've seen a few of my videos that I've posted. So you pretty much know This is a T-Track module. It's about 14 feet long in total. It doesn't go anywhere. It's not like a conventional T-Track layout that is used to go to train shows and whatnot. I've just chosen to actually have it as a my own personal layout that I can easily break down whenever I need to break it down to stow away. That's my other half talking to you, Kevin, or chatting with you, Kevin. She's usually my audience. So this guy's going to go down there. We're going to pick up the speed a little bit. It's going a little too slow for my liking. There we go. And I'm going to have a little sip. There we go. I would have caught your broadcast last night, Kevin, but we were out of town. Had a little event. We didn't get home till late. So unfortunately, again, I've missed your broadcast. So my intention is this afternoon, after mine, to watch yours. Hang on, I'll be right back. I got to make sure we're hooked up. Yep, we're all good. But I did sneak on another car there and had to make sure he was off. All right, so let's bring this guy up here. We're going to drop him off on our inside track, which is currently where we are anyway. But we're going to drop him off here so we can grab these other cars out of the East Engine facility over here. If you're looking at the east facing camera, she's sitting down here, or the east camera, I should say. And what we should do is find someone who can post a website and put a schedule up. We grabbed them. I thought he disconnected these cards, but we ended up grabbing them anyway. All right, let's try this once again. So yeah, we'll bring these three cars up and we'll just set them in on our inside track here, and then we'll get our double crossover switched over to do a bit of a runaround. So you run both DC and DCC on your layout. Do you do the same with your N scale stuff, Kevin? Oh, okay. So all of your N-scale engines are strictly DC then, no DCC in there? And what controller are you using with your HO stuff for DCC? That's true. Never say never on anything. No worries. We'll get ourselves set up for this grab that we've got to do of the 2 cars that are sitting in the east engine shed. I'm busy reading chat and not paying attention to what I should be doing. So we're going to try and do this a bit sneaky. I do glance at the switching sheet ahead of time and try and figure out what my moves will be, but in my head they work great. Doesn't necessarily mean that they are going to work when it comes time to actually moving these cars around. But we'll see. We'll see what happens here. We will have to move the covered hopper, this guy here, into the welding shop. And we will have to move the tank car, this guy, to the central maintenance, which is over there. We'll point that one out again in a bit. And then our last, well, not last move, but the third move that we'll be doing on this particular setup will be this boxcar here. 062 will be going to the east engine shed, which we just grabbed these 2 guys from. So, I think what we're going to do, which is a change from what I had in my head, which is always a scary place to be in the first place, is I think what we're going to do is we're going to grab this first boxcar. Since he's got to go into the engine shed, we may as well just get him in there, and then he's done and dusted. Okay, sounds like a plan. Okay. All right, thanks for the tips. I appreciate that. Trust me, I need all the tips I can. I'm not actually after that many, like a whole bunch of people. I just like to have the odd person, and I don't mean odd people, the odd person actually watching the streams. Makes it feel worthwhile. All right, let's get this guy into position. Yeah, that's why potentially what I would like to do as well is if I get a few viewers to the channel is I can do a session, a quick little session. And much like what you do with yours is have a little chit chat with everybody and discuss things and answer questions and, you know, just socialize. It's the YouTube platforms obviously are a great social environment. And it helps build the community overall. Well, we're going to have to do this standing, unfortunately. Excuse my reaching in front of the camera. Okay. There we go. So we got that move out of the way, which is good. It's always nice to have a first real successful move. And the rest of these guys, as I say, the tanker here has got to go to central maintenance, which is, if you're watching on the central camera right now, is down here. And then the covered hopper needs to go to the welding shop, which is right behind it. So what we're going to have to do here is actually do a bit of a runaround and pick these guys up. So we'll do that now. Get on our outside track. Yeah, I like the fact that a lot of you guys run trains, and that gives you at least the ability, when the trains are cooperating with you, that is, it gives you the ability to spend some time with your audience, having a chat with them or paying attention to the chat. Whereas when you're doing a switching session, it's a little more difficult because you tend to want to concentrate on the switching. But that's all good. It's all part of it. Ah, cool. Now that'd be interesting. Somebody else was doing that. I don't know if they were in Canada or not. Actually, I think they are doing remote control of their trains. I just don't know how they're doing it. I don't have the programming skills for it. I'm a hardware guy. I can build stuff, but as far as programming, yeah, not me. I can sure screw it up if I'm trying to troubleshoot it. I just got to get this guy to the edge of the eastbound track here. Give myself enough room that I can actually get the train where it needs to be. I know you do some 3D printing as well. I saw you printing, or I saw you painting up your little office facility that you were doing there for the layout that one evening when you dropped your paint. And I've got to look back at your videos to see how all that turned out, see how the office went. So we're going to run these guys around. Because these two boxcars... What? Who did what there? Why are you giving me a hard time? Oh, you're off the track, that's why. Okay, never mind. We'll fix it. There we go. Sorted. Back wheels came off on the tanker. Shorted out. That's who it is, you're right. Now that you put the name up there, I saw that. I've seen him online before. I haven't tried to control his range at all. I just wasn't sure what his process was. There's so many channels with guys doing, well, not doing that, but with model trains. I've got a couple of subscription sites that I belong to over in the UK as well, and follow guys over there. And then you're dealing with different time zones and cool, yeah. Well, I would think you'd want to be kind of monitoring the remote control session as well. So it's probably a good idea to have it only during your live stream times. So I got to cheat a little bit here. These Procore tires that I got from Rapido are great, but they're really long, and I didn't account for them on that module there. So I had to just lift it up and get it past the points. That was a good deal. You may want to keep an eye on it for next year if you're interested in any Rapido rolling stock, maybe engines. I'm not sure. This year, all they did was I'll call it a low-end package, and it was all rolling stock. I ended up with 6 of these little Procore covered hoppers, all different numbers, which was kind of cool. And a old school TTC bus, lighted bus that you'll see down on which camera is on the central camera that's facing northeast. So we're going to take these 2 cars, the yellow one and the deep blue one, and we're going to drop those off at the outbound track. So I will need to disappear while I uncouple those in a moment. And the hobby's a very, very cool hobby. It's come a long way from when I used to be in it some 35 to 40 years ago. Back in that day, there was no DCC or sound for that matter on N-scale product, and we kind of just dealt with what we had. I'll be right back. Don't go away, and entertain yourselves for a moment. And we're back. All right, so we got to bring these cars back. The two that we still have, the covered hopper and the tanker. Uh-oh. Defect detector found a defect. So let's rethink what we've got to do here again. So we've got to move the tank car to the central maintenance. So we're on the right end for that. And the covered, oh, this is going to work out easy then. Covered hopper's going into the welding shop. You could break out your viola d'amore and play us some music, Gwen. I'd say continue with the painting you're working on, but we wouldn't be able to see it. But I am going to break these two cars apart, because again, because of the length, I'm not going to be able to get them both into the cold storage siding here. So we'll just move this guy up a bit. We'll pop him in there. Break them there. And I probably shouldn't have done what I did earlier this morning. In fact, I'm going to fix that now. I parked one of the switchers at the end of the siding, and I knew I shouldn't have done it, that he'd be in the way. And of course he was. Best laid plans, as it were. I've got to catch, maybe you did it this weekend, Kevin, but I do have to catch you running your slot cars as well. That's something I haven't seen yet. Wrong. There we go. I'm rethinking how I'm going to switch, how I'm switching these turnouts as well. I tried something that Jimmy at the DIY and digital site did. Excuse me. And I'm not fussy on how I got them set up, because I tend to forget to set them back to the neutral position. On my previous switching layout, I had momentary double pole, double throw switches. So when I threw it in the one direction, it would come back to the neutral position, and I didn't have to worry about it. The switch, that is, not the turnout. So he's where he needs to be. So we'll come back, pick up this covered hopper, and we'll move him up into the welding shop and let them do their thing, whatever their thing is. Cool. Oops. Now, I threw that switch. Why didn't you change? That's another reason why I want to change these switches around, because, not the turnouts, but the physical switches I'm using. Sometimes when I throw them, they aren't reacting to what I expect them to do. There we go. Did it that time. Well, right now, on all I'm using is a double pole, double throw switch with a center off, but it latches in the top or bottom position. There we go. And it's just going directly to a momentary switch, so I can preset anything as far as my switches are concerned on this particular module that you're seeing the switcher on right now. So I can set 4 different turnouts ahead of time and then just push a momentary switch and it'll set those 4 turnouts for me. On the double crossovers on the main lines, there's 2 of those, and I've got those being controlled with Arduino boards. Again, something that Jimmy from the DIY had done. Like I said earlier, I am not a programmer. I can't figure that stuff out. So I grabbed his code because he made it available and programmed those so that underneath these T-Track modules are a couple of Arduino boards. There's one in this module here, and there's one in the module that the central camera is pointing at, and they're on push buttons, and they control the Kato turnouts, and typically they do the lights properly for the most part, but there is a signal cycle button as well that's on that Arduino, and pushing that, if you look at the west camera right now, so this camera here where my finger is, you'll see I can cycle through manually on these turnouts, the double turnouts, the double crossovers. If I switch the crossover, it does the switching for the most part, but I have to cycle which is the proper leg that the train has to take, because it doesn't know which one's clear and which one's not. So I cycle through manually to give it the clear for whatever the crossover leg is. But yeah, for the most part, that one works out just fine. Back to figuring out what we were doing here. Yeah, again, you know what, the electronics industry, the small electronics industry has been a boon to the model railroad community as far as what we or you are able to do these days. Google's your friend, definitely, when it comes time to seeing if there's something out there that will assist in making happen what you want to happen. And for a lot of times, somebody's already done what you wanted to do. It's the same thing with this controller. Over on the DCCEX website, there's a whole subsection there of Wii throttles or Y throttles. And you can have wired ones, or this one's running on my local area network and talks directly to my DCCEX command station. And yeah, it works great. I mean, I can do consist with this, just add a second locomotive to it quite easily. Adds a different layer of, I guess, reality to it, in that this reacts completely different to the way my tablet does for controlling the locomotives. Because the guy that designed it, and I helped him test his software for this, I said, you know, the trains are stopping too quick. The emergency stop button wasn't operating quick enough. I mean, e-stop for me should kill everything on your layout in case something's gone horribly wrong. And it wasn't. There was some drift time in there, so he's got it now set that the emergency button, which is this guy here, will kill the layout immediately and stop all trains in the process. Give me a second. I got to reach over and uncouple this guy. But yeah, it's between that and kind of doing anything else that you want, things are so much better than they were, decades ago, and it makes it sound ancient, but it really, really is. Even my little highway sign here, the Stay Alert, that was something that I did this past week, and there's a little Arduino nano chip or computer that's running that, and I can go in and change all of the messages that are on that, and it just randomly cycles through picking messages and showing them up on the screen. But all these, to me, all these little things add the details for realism as far as what real life would kind of be like, as far as what you'd see visually on the road or going past a railroad or a factory. Anyway, yeah. So we've got two of them situated where they need to be, which is a good thing. So we got one at the welding shop, which is our one covered hopper. We've got a tank car at the central maintenance, and right now that's going to leave us with, we've got over at the cold storage facility, which is over here, we have a covered hopper that needs to go to the welding shop, so that'll be this guy here. And we've got a green car. Where are you, little green car? Oh, he's going to be going out to our outbound track. So we're going to grab them both. I got to do a run around on it anyway. We'll break them apart and move them to their respective areas. Yeah. I'd be afraid to know what kind of messages people would put on there, Gwen. Good idea, though. It could be done. I was thinking of throwing the odd random bizarre message up there, like beware of zombies and stuff like that. Just for a lap. But nobody can really read that sign because it's slightly out of focus, because I've got this focus set for just about central area here. That's the other thing I found on these things is every time I shut down the system and restart it, I've taken autofocus off of these cameras because I don't want them hunting back and forth. So when I've got a session on the go, it's great, but they don't always focus where I need them to focus. So what I did is turned off the autofocus or set them to manual. Then before the session actually starts, I manually do a focus on all the cameras except for the central one, because it doesn't have any focusing capability. It's a slightly cheaper camera, same make but cheaper camera that doesn't have autofocus capabilities. And what I found is, and I think I've seen it on a few people's systems where the cameras start to glitch on the screen, and it's got something to do with USB, but I'm not sure what. I've got 4 of my cameras set on 4 individual USB ports on my computer system. So theoretically, according to everything I read, there shouldn't be an issue with the USB ports and the cameras kind of interfering with each other. But there's something out there on the system and on everybody's system that once it starts, I don't know how you stop it other than rebooting the entire system. And again, mine did that this morning. It decided it wanted to glitch right away and had to reboot again, and it's been stable, touch on wood, ever since. So we'll see. But it's not OBS that's doing it, and that was one of the reasons why I asked you the other week there what streaming software you were using there, Kevin. I tried another piece of software that was free as well, broadcasting software, and oddly enough, I had the exact same problem with it. It had just started up all of a sudden. So I know it's not the software. I know it's not OBS that's causing it, but it's an annoying kind of glitch that happens, and it hits every camera on the system. Yeah, but I don't. Yeah, but it seems to be a local problem, and it's definitely not a YouTube thing either. It has to do with something as far as our USB, I'm going to say hubs, are concerned. But I mean, I've got 6 USB ports on this computer I run, so it shouldn't be a problem. They should have their own identifier each. Again, like, I'm a hardware guy, and this is what I used to do. I just haven't been able to research it enough to figure out what the heck is actually causing our problems. All right, so let me do this. We're going to disconnect both of these cars because we've got to move this guy, the grain hopper. He's going to be going to our outbound tracks. We really want to get him moved from there up in front, so we're going to do it this way. Not quite the way I want to do it, but we'll rehook up there. And we'll come around back on our main track. And we're going to hope for the best. So we're going to come back on the main, and then we're going to go backwards and onto our other crossover here. We'll pick up this grain car. We'll get rid of him. We'll push him to the outbound track. Yeah, a good point. I mean, I'm running an older Acer computer here as well. I'd really be curious. I'm not going to spend the money and buy a new computer just for doing this. Doesn't make any sense. I'll put up with that stupid little glitching. I know how to fix it as far as a reboot is concerned, and I don't mean just shutting down OBS and restarting OBS. I literally have to shut or restart the computer from scratch and go from there. That tends to solve that problem. But again, who knows? Maybe it's just luck. I mean, we just need the ability. We don't need the graphics power for sure for doing broadcasts on YouTube. What we do need is the number one, processing power, and secondly, the speed of our USB ports. So let's get oops, I did have the lighting set correctly. Should have left it alone. Get our signal set. We'll get this the grain car to our outbound track. But before we go totally that way, since we have to take that covered hopper and put him at the welding shop as well, as we'll drop him off here, because he's going to have to be on the front of the loco. So when we come back, we'll come back on the main line. So you'll have to hold that thought for a moment and entertain yourself while I go make sure these guys are disconnected, or uncoupled, I should say. At the far end, no, I'm not. Well, yeah, possibly. If you're on a PCI bus, you might get the speed that you need. But you would expect on a desktop machine, which is what I'm running, that the USB ports would be PCI because they're built onto the motherboard. But good food for thought. I mean, a PCI network or PCI USB card is not expensive, so it might be worth an experiment. See what they're worth on Amazon and go from there. So we'll get this switcher onto the main line, and then we'll get them back on the inside track. So what are your plans for the rest of the day, Kevin? Going to work on the layout? Cool. Hey, how'd you disconnect? There we go. Yeah, I got to get back to painting some of the little N scale people that I printed out. But it's tedious work and it kills my eyes after doing that for a couple of hours. Those are the times, those are the times that you wish you had, or I wished I had HO, because at least the people would be big enough to actually paint them. What I ended up doing, I'll show you here in a second once we get this guy up towards the welding shop. I end up grabbing a cork from a whiskey bottle, putting a little bit of blue tack, I don't know what you want to call it, sticky stuff on there, and then sticking the people on. And that holds them, so at least I can rotate them around without having to get my hands in the way of trying to hold them in place, or tweezers. Works out quite well, because you can put a couple of people on there and kind of rotate that cork around and get them painted up, but it's still hard on the eyes. And the problem, well, not the problem, using a resin printer really adds detail. So you can actually see people's facial features, their eyes and their nose and their mouth and stuff. So you do want to be able to paint them properly, not like some of the Chinese stuff that's out there. Hang on, I gotta reach in and get this guy disconnected. And we'll get them working at the welding shop here. So there, that one's done. We're getting there, So we got a grain car sitting at the co-op, way down at the far end, at the west end there. I'm not sure if you can see it. I'll go down there. It's our co-op is sitting way down here, and we do have a car that's not going anywhere. He's going from the co-op to the co-op, so he's just staying there. So obviously they've got a bunch of stuff they're doing at the co-op, so we can cross that one off the list. And we have, what's left here? I think that's just about it. That's got them all. So what we'll do is we're going to back this little switcher out of here. We'll shut her down. Yeah, but again, in HO, you can get away with it a lot easier than you can with N scale. They do a better job of mass producing HO scale people, painted HO scale people, than they do N scale people. And some of the stuff they have that's available for N scale is just a little, meh. The quality's not great. I prefer to model modern railroad rather than the old stuff like a lot of people do. And most of the accessories, vehicles and whatnot, tend to be the old school stuff. And even at the club that I'm at, I've had this discussion, I said to get people involved in model railroad, younger people involved in model railroading, the thing is that you want to appeal to them in some way, shape, or form. And if you're going to continue to model the old steam engines, and again, nothing wrong with modeling the old steam engines and that era, but to younger people to get involved, yes, they're fascinated with it, but to get them committed to do model railroading as a hobby, an ongoing hobby, you need to make it attractive for them. So you need more modern equipment available to them. So vehicles, you don't want 1950s cars, and that's the only thing that gets, the only thing that would be able to be produced. That's why, again, looking at the modern electronics that we have these days, I'm going to shut the welding system off here. Hang on. There we go. The way things are done these days as far as electronics is concerned, and the ability to 3D print your own stuff makes it very attractive. But again, we rely on people developing the STL files for our printers to be able to do that. And again, the better quality stuff you're going to pay for to get the STL files. Not necessarily a problem there. And a lot of people are still trying to print with filament printers in N scale, and the finer detail stuff just doesn't work well with a filament printer. You do need a resin printer. I had a young fella, the throttle that I just showed you earlier, is I could have completely 3D printed this myself with my printer, my resin printer. But the problem was the build plate on a resin printer is not that big. And I got a young lad that goes to Conestoga College here, or he did. I don't know if he's still there or not. But he offers a 3D printing service. He's got a printing farm in his house. And he offers, obviously, to print in whatever you want, whether it's resin or filament, and or ABS or whatever you decide you want your product printed in. So I had printed up half of that throttle myself because I could, But the other parts that were too big for me to do, I had him print. And his prices were really, really reasonable to print it. For me to have done it on a trial and error basis, and what I mean by that is printing something and then having it fail, or it wasn't scaled right on my end, is a waste of my time and a waste of materials. So I'd rather pay somebody to have that done properly. Little stuff like vehicles, I don't mind printing myself, because if it messes up, it messes up. Not a big deal, because it's only been an hour of your time out of on the print that failed on you. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, well, as I say, yeah, I saw that, the Fast and Furious stuff. That's what I was chuckling at, because I did see that somebody had done up a diorama with that, and using, and I can't remember if it was HO or whether it was N scale that he did it in, but it was humorous to see the way he had set it up. It looked really good, to be honest, and the scale of the Fast and Furious vehicles was pretty good for the train. It could have been N scale, and maybe I'll have to have a look at that, find that video again and have a look-see. But yeah, what time are we at now? 2:30. So I managed it an hour. These switching sessions that I do right now can be, depending on what the computer list generates, it could be a 20-minute switch. It could be an hour and a half, depending on the complexity. I just randomly, I've got, 15 pieces of rolling stock based on the industries I've got here, pretty much, other than my tank cars. I used to have an oil refinery on the layout, and swapped that out when I switched from my other switching layout to this one. And I actually did have it on this one because it was sitting in this area here. In fact, the cutout for it is still there, but I've got some containers sitting in there right now. And it worked, but to me visually it didn't suit the scene properly, because there was no reason for a refinery to be there. But again, what I do is I just take random cars from my list and put them into my spreadsheet. Again, that's something from Jimmy from the DIY did a couple of years ago, and I kept his program for it. And I put my cars in there, and it just randomly generates. And the formula is based on knowing what the cars are capable of doing, like what could they feasibly go to, like the welding shop or the grain facility or the co-op. Again, you put those in, and then it just randomly does stuff. Anyway, yeah. Okay, cool. So here's a leading question. Do you kind of replicate that with your HO stuff at all, and the slot cars, jumping over the over the HO layout? I probably shouldn't give you ideas, or you probably already had those ideas, so it's... Well, thank you, Kevin. Thanks. Yeah, I won't hold you up anymore. I mean, that's the end of what I've got, and it's on basically yourself and Gwen and I. And I want to get, since we got a quiet evening ahead of us, I do want to look at your session that you did last night. Again, I apologize for not seeing it live, but we were out at a music event last night. Okay. Yeah. And you got to hope that a train doesn't come along and you miscalculate your jump as well. But yeah, I want to see your session from last night and see how it all went. You got a good group of people that show up, which is kind of cool. You got a good following there, so yeah, very, very good. And I see you get Scott Rail in there. He's down in the Hamilton area, I believe. There's a few of us down here. I think N-Scale Dystopia. He was on earlier before I was broadcasting. He said he had hoped to catch the stream, but I didn't see him come back on. He's the work he does on his N-Scale layout is really, really incredible. I'd like to find out where he is. Oh, come on. It's past your skill level. All it's doing is touching on your skill level, and it means is really what you have to do is keep the same format that you're doing, because people are coming out to see your channel because they're interested in what you're doing with your channel. So as your audience grows, obviously they're coming there because of what you're doing. And you want, I mean, right now, yes, I can read what's going on in the chat. It's a little more difficult, as I said earlier, for me to do that and do a switching layout at the same time. But when you've got an audience there typing at you and you're trying to respond, I guess ultimately you want to slow the chat down so you can see everybody's questions if you get too many people typing stuff. But that's a sign that you're doing stuff, as I said, that people want to see. So that's good. That's good. Keep up doing what you're doing for sure. I find it interesting, and I'm shocked that you can stream for as long as you do, though. I mean, I'd be wore out probably after an hour and a half. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Denny, yeah, I've watched a bunch of his stuff, and his techniques on doing things is really, really good. I watched his one on aging concrete for his viaducts and stuff when he was going to put the posters up. And actually, I was involved in the chat when he was trying to figure out how to weather or how to age the posters. And yeah, that was good. He's got a really good channel there. So, anyways, I think what we'll do is we'll probably cut this short now, because it's what time for you? You're what, 3:30? No, yeah, 3:30. 3:30 your time. And hopefully the weather will hold off for you, and you don't. Yeah, but it's getting close to your dinner time, or unless your girlfriend's cooking for you tonight. Anyways, yes, take care, and we'll cut this off at this point. I will take some time this evening and have a look at your stream from last night. Looking forward to seeing that for sure. And okay, well, I know where we're eating when we come out west sometime, or out east sometime. Anyways, have yourself a great evening, Kevin. I'm glad you made it over to the live stream, and yeah, hopefully you'll be able to make it to another one. I think my schedule is going to be every Sunday, or at least that's what I'm looking at this point. Every Sunday at 1:30 in the afternoon, and we'll go from there. And I'll take your advice to heart on not putting it up quite so early, and we'll go from there. You take care of yourself, and we'll see how things go. And I look forward to seeing your stream next week as well. All right, have a good one. Stay safe. Enjoy model railroading. Cheers, guys.